Have you ever wondered why Chinese cars got so good so fast? And more importantly, why you can't buy any of these in America? People often talk about cheap labor and low margins, but the real story is much stranger and much more interesting. Because China didn't just improve the car industry, China skipped the entire petrol era and landed directly in the future. And that jump began long before China built its first EV. It actually began the day China opened its doors to the world. In 2001, when China joined the WTO, foreign automakers rushed in. Volkswagen, GM, Honda, Toyota, they all set up joint ventures inside China. If you walked into any Chinese city back then, almost every car you saw looked like a slightly older version of something you would find back in Europe or Japan. China learned how to build cars, but they learned how to build the old cars. Internal combustion, gearboxes, pistons and engines. But in 2015, China didn't want to be stuck making the technology of the past. They wanted their people to learn how to make the technology of the future. And here's the part that most people forget. China knew it could never win the petrol race. The West had a 100-year head start. How were they ever going to catch up? So China decided to go in a different direction. They decided to focus on electric. But even when the strategy was clear, China lacked something essential: experience with world-class electric vehicle manufacturing. There were startups at the time, companies like BYD, SAIC, Great Wall Motors, but the ecosystem behind them was still underdeveloped. And then Tesla arrived. In 2019, China made a decision that surprised the entire world. It let Tesla build the first fully foreign-owned car factory in modern Chinese history. No 50-50 joint ventures, no forced technology transfers, no state partners. It was just Tesla on their own, backed by the Chinese government. Many people said China was giving away too much, but inside the industry, everyone could feel the shift. Tesla wasn't just building cars, Tesla was changing the water the entire industry was swimming in. Suppliers had to upgrade their automation, battery companies had to meet global standards, software integration became a new expectation. By 2023, more than 60 Chinese suppliers qualified as Tesla Tier 1 vendors, companies building the most advanced parts for the world. Production costs fell, precision rose, the entire supply chain leveled up. And then something interesting happened. Chinese consumers changed too. Tesla changed the way that someone viewed a car. It was a computer on wheels, a software platform, a smart device just like your phone. Once expectations shift, they never shifted back. By the time Xiaomi entered the EV market, the water in China was completely different. Factories knew how to build world-class EV components. Battery suppliers were producing at a scale the world had never seen. Software capabilities had grown to meet the tastes of young, digital-first generations. Xiaomi didn't need to spend 10 years learning how to build a modern EV. The entire ecosystem had already been upgraded by Tesla. But Xiaomi had something Tesla didn't: an entire digital universe already living inside people's homes. There are more than 1 billion Xiaomi smart devices, HyperOS running across phones, TVs, and appliances. And this gave them a loyal fan base that were willing to forgive them on some of the missteps when they entered this new industry. So when Xiaomi entered this market, they weren't just selling a car, they were selling the missing pieces of a digital life that millions of people were already using. This is how a company can enter the EV business in 2024 and outsell Tesla by the end of the year. And yet, you still can't buy a Chinese EV in America, precisely because China is competing on a different technology, one the US chose not to invest in. To sum it all up, Xiaomi's EV business went from almost nothing to 25% of the company's revenue in less than 2 years. Chinese suppliers, many shaped by Tesla's localization, now produce advanced components at scale for companies like Xiaomi. In October 2025, Xiaomi's U7 SUV even became the best-selling SUV in China, a market dominated by Tesla's Model Y. And the Chinese consumer? I see them changing all the time. And right now, over 60% of new car buyers expect to have software updates and digital features directly integrated into their car. In places like France and Japan, that number is only 30%. So what we're talking about is a fundamentally different market. It's a market that rewards software, it rewards integration, and it rewards an entire ecosystem. That is exactly the world that Xiaomi was built for. So, what does this all mean? Xiaomi isn't doing so well because it copied Tesla. It's because Tesla changed the environment at the exact moment that China was ready to leapfrog the old world. Foreign automakers taught China how to build petrol cars, while Tesla taught China how to build the future. And Xiaomi grew inside this digital space. A culture where your phone, your home, and your car are all part of one connected life. This isn't a story about one company beating another. It's a story of an entire ecosystem changing its shape. When I look at Xiaomi today, I don't see a car company. I see a pattern. China leapfrogs industries where the old rules don't apply. When the world shifts from hardware to software, from engines to batteries, from metal to data. 2. Ecosystems win over standalone products. Xiaomi's advantage isn't the vehicle alone, it's the entire ecosystem that they've created. 3. Xiaomi entered into an unfair environment. They entered when they knew they were going to have a structural advantage over their competitors, and the numbers are showing it. Finally, consumer expectations matter. Chinese buyers want smart devices on wheels. That's very different to Western markets, and companies built around these expectations tend to scale the fastest. So, I'm not saying go ahead and buy Xiaomi. But what I'm saying is, Chinese EVs got very good very fast. And if you follow the story far back enough, you will find Tesla standing at the front line. Xiaomi is not just starting to replace Tesla. It grew in the water that Tesla changed. And now, that's how the entire industry is shifting. First quietly, and then suddenly. Anyway, that's how I see it from where I'm standing. Let me know what you see on your side.